guys, how you going? So today on BKRsport, it is the beginning of the NRL season this week. So guess what? It is time for our NRL season preview in 2021. Now guys, we're actually here at a local junior rugby league club because I really find this is a great place to film the season preview. Why? It's the start of the season and this is where everything starts, right here. So let's get into it and let's preview all 16 NRL teams in 2021. We all know this beautiful place right here. Yes, we do, especially these bottom 4 teams, because this is the canteen. This is exactly where they should be. Unfortunately, they're not that great. You didn't really get selected with the big boys, and they can still come down, still participate, but realistically, they may as well just beat the canteen. So let's get started. Number 16. Unfortunately, the Wooden Spooners, I do believe, will be the SirensCeol Illawarra Dragons. To be honest, everyone's predicting this. Pretty much, literally, I don't know of a person who hasn't actually tipped the Dragons to come the Spoon. Now, I usually like to try and tip someone who's not exactly the favourites for it, but just can't see a team worse than the Dragons this year. Unfortunately, they lost McInnes, who's gone to the Sharks next year, and also done his ACL this year, so he won't be there. They've lost a couple plays all over the place, and there's just no real soul at the moment for the Dragons. So, although I do see teams competing with them for the Spoon, I still think the Dragons, unfortunately, this year will be the worst of the lot. In number 15, we have the West Tigers. Now, this is an interesting pick because a lot of people don't really know how to take this team. It's either bottom 2, bottom 3, bottom 4, or it's potentially 9, potentially 8. I don't see that side of things. I don't see top 8 potential. I don't even see them realistically pushing for the 8. However, I understand why people want to put them up there. But for me, I think they just don't have the talent to be going with the rest of the competition, to be honest with you. I think, Nofaluma's great, but you need more than just Nofaluma to be, getting into the top 8 and actually pushing, especially this year when there's a great deal of teams, probably from 7 till 13, who probably can actually make it into the 8. The Tigers are the team with the longest finals drought. They haven't made the finals, I think, since 2011 or 2010. Something along those lines. Too long. But unfortunately, I don't see it breaking this year. I think they probably would have come second last, third last, if last year they didn't have Harry Grant. Harry Grant obviously has gone down to the Storm, so I feel like the Tigers will massively regress. One of the more controversial on this list is the number 14 New Zealand Warriors. Now, look, I actually think this team has a decent team. They've obviously just brought in Adam Fanua-Blake as well, and Tuivasa-Sheck's there. Not the greatest fan of their halves. Not really the greatest fan of the hooker role, but in the same sense, they don't have a bad team. They got results last year when no one was really expecting them to. However, this one really comes down to how I've seen the Wellington Phoenix perform in the A-League. So the Wellington Phoenix came second last year. They were very good. They have a good team this year. But they're last, or second last now, I think. Or last or second last? No, they're second last right now. But the point of the matter is, this team came second and now unfortunately is coming bottom 2 because they get no home games. It's very difficult to go a full season with no home games and no guarantees that you're going to get any home games anytime soon. We don't know what's going on right now, and unfortunately that plays on the outside of football aspect and also the fact that you want to play in front of your home fans. I just don't know if the Warriors are going to be able to bring the consistency to compete with some of these teams that are going to be fighting for the 8 this year. I think they've got the talent and I think they definitely could prove me wrong, but I think I'm more comfortable putting them down here for them to prove me wrong based on the fact that I do think that not playing any home games this year, unfortunately, it'll impact too much mentally, and I just don't know if these guys are going to be able to get it done. Rounding out the bottom 4, we have the Brisbane Broncos, number 13. Now, they have improved, obviously. Anything besides last year is up, and look, I think they've got talent in their team, I do. But in the same sense, I don't think they're that good of a team overall anyway. I think they don't have a great fullback, really. They don't even know their halves, let alone me knowing their halves. A hooker roll, what's going on? Their spine is just a mess. I do think it's going to take a little bit more time than just this off-season for the Broncos to just return to a top 8 buddy favourite and return the culture that it once was. Alrighty, we're here at the bench. Now these boys obviously, they're just going to miss out, unfortunately. Well, 12th kind of might be a little bit shorter, but in the same sense, these guys won't be making the top 8 and they're going to be just that little tiny bit short of getting there. So who's in number 12? We do have the Cronulla Sharks. The reason why the Cronulla Sharks are here is because unfortunately Shaun Johnson's not going to be back for quite some time. I really think that a team like the Sharks needs to build a foundation so that they can kind of withhold getting into that top 8 at the end. I think there's too many quality teams right now, and unfortunately I just don't see a great deal of excitement coming from the Sharks. I think last year obviously we saw an incredible amount of attacking. I love Sione Katoa, I love their outside back, backs, but unfortunately, you know, this team just doesn't have the defense for me, and I'm not too sure without Shaun Johnson that they're going to be able to get the attack going early days anyway, because he is just such an enigmatic, fantastic player, and I really like watching him play. And without him to start the season, I don't think they'll get off to the start that they would like, and, you know, unfortunately, they will finish in 12th. Number 11, we have the North Queensland Cowboys. This was a difficult one for me because they do have a team that could arguably push for the 8, and I guess 11th is still pushing for the 8, but unfortunately, they're still quite bland for me. I really think that Michael Morgan needs a really quality half to be partnering him, like a Thurston, like someone in the Origin. Unfortunately for me, he doesn't have that creative flair, and I just don't really think the Cowboys have that creative flair. But look, I think the Cowboys, they should have a better season than last year, but in the same sense, they're not the most exciting team for me. Number 10 is the Canterbury Bulldogs. Now, I actually feel like looking at this that they're a little bit high for me, but in the same sense, I think there's a lot more upside from them than the other teams below them, in my personal opinion. I think that they're still 1-2 years away from actually genuinely competing, and I think they're still 1-2 years away from actually making the 8. I don't think they'll make the 8 this year, and I think this is very generous of me to put them in 10th spot, considering this is a brand new team with a brand new coach, a brand new system, and the players that people are most excited about don't actually come until next year. So look, I think, like I said, this is generous, but I guess it does come down to the way that this new game style is, the way the sport is played, that I believe that it might suit the way the Dogs play. Number 9, rounding out the bottom 8, unfortunately, just missing out, is going to be the Manly Seagulls. Now, I originally thought these guys would make the top 8. I think everyone did. Last year, I tipped them to win the comp, and they gigantically disappointed me. However, I think this year, they will be thereabouts, and they definitely could make the top 8. However, unfortunately, Manly, obviously, we all know what happened with them with Tom Trbojevic. They're not the same team without him, and it's going to be very difficult for me to see a team that just lost Adam Fanua-Blake, doesn't have Trbojevic, and just doesn't have the same feel as previous years, actually getting into the 8 over these other teams. I do think these guys are going to be very difficult to beat this year. I do think that they could surprise and still make the 8, even with Trbojevic out for a bit. And you don't know, you know, he's not out for that long, but in the same sense, you don't know how long he's going to be when he gets back into it, because he is very injury prone. I do have major doubts about whether they can actually perform when they lost their best forward, well, one of their best forwards, and also you have no guarantees about their fullback. So look, it'll be interesting to see how Manly go, but I do have them in 9. We're about to get on the field now. We're not with the big dogs just yet, but we are about to get out there. We're thereabouts. We can damn well compete. That's why we're coming in. But we might not be there just yet. And at number 8, getting into the top 8 spot, is the Newcastle Knights. Now, I don't believe in this team anywhere near as much as other people are believing in this team, but I do believe they deserve to be in the 8. I think that realistically, the reason why people believe in them so much is because now is when they should be peaking. We've been hearing for years this team is building, and this is when they should be peaking. That's why people have them in the top 4, because they think this is the year. Personally, for me, I still can't trust them. I still can't trust the Knights to do the job that we're expecting them to do for so many years now. I don't know about the playing group and what's going on with Mitchell Pearce. I don't really think this team is consistent enough. Definitely could come higher, definitely should come higher, but I can't trust them just yet, so my prediction is 8th spot. Number 7, and I do have the Gold Coast Titans. I think if anyone's taken them outside of probably the top 10, top 11, I think you're being unrealistic. I just simply do. I think that people have this expectation, the Titans, of being pretty average, because the Titans have been average for about a decade now. But if you look at this team, great forwards, decent outside backs. AJ Brimson, when he came back, they won 5 games in a row to finish off the season last year against teams that weren't that great. And obviously, teams weren't really expecting it, so teams will expect it now. It'll be a lot more difficult for the Titans to actually get the win, but Justin Holbrook has now had a full year to restructure this club. When there's smoke, there's usually fire. The fans feel positive, the players feel positive, and most of the NRL community is feeling positive. You don't get people saying overhyped without there being plenty of people saying this team is the goods. We saw in the grand final last year with the Panthers how much you need experience in the finals, and I don't know if they're here just yet, the Titans, but give it 1 year, give it 2 years, and I genuinely believe people will start to look for this team a lot more. Number 6, and we do have the Paramount Eels. This is a very difficult bunch to read because this team could easily finish top 4, but they could also finish in 8th spot. They're a team that can start off the season fantastic and fall apart at the end, or they're a team that can start off very bad and then come home strong. You never really know what to make of Parramatta, but they do have a good team. I don't know about a great team. I don't know if this team can actually win a premiership, but I definitely think these guys will compete. They can compete. I think they have it on paper. Overall, I think this team has the ability to get into the top 4, and they really should be pushing for top 4. If they don't make the top 4, I think it's okay. If they finish outside the top 6, very disappointing. I don't see them missing the 8 though. I just can't do it. So look, 6th place, I think they'll be right, but I don't know if this playing group can actually win the premiership. Number 5, just outside the top 4, we do have the Canberra Raiders. Now, I actually wanted to put these guys lower because I don't believe in them as much as I previously did. It just doesn't have the excitement excitement factor for me anymore compared to a lot of these other teams. I know that the way the game style is going with the fast pace, I guess it does suit the Raiders, but I just look at how Georgie Williams played last year, was very happy how he started off the season, finished off quite averagely. A lot of the Raiders players did, and obviously they got into the prelim, which is great and fantastic. But in the same sense, they gave up like 20, 24 points in the first half to a rampaging Storm team and just went bang, 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 which shouldn't be happening in a prelim. If you're good enough, you at least compete. And even though the Panthers lost in the grand final and they gave up a similar scoreline very early days, the Panthers still fought their way back in and made it at least close, I guess. The Raiders, I don't know if they're able to do it. They didn't do it. And I'm not too sure about them this year, but they still do have the team to make a top 5 appearance, and like Parramatta, they should be pushing for the top 4. Finally, it's time. We're here in the top 4, and this is where we compete, baby. These are the big dogs you should be watching out for this year. I think you guys all knew that they were going to be here, and I'm not too sure if anyone outside of this area can actually win it. But in number 4, we do have the Sydney Roosters. Unfortunately, with no Boyd Cordner, I don't think they'll be able to get as many results as they need to actually win the minor premiership. This team just doesn't seem to have the same enthusiasm as I did see in 2019, 2018, and pretty much all the previous years. I feel like last year it just didn't kind of click for them overall, and we didn't really know how to take them, and unfortunately they did obviously get knocked out in the finals. But they'll be back this year. They'll be back. They've got the team to be back, and they're a competitive team, and they should do well. But in the same sense, no Cordner is a big problem. I do think the team will be there. That's why they're top 4. And I know I'm saying a few negatives right now, and they definitely can win the premiership, and they're definitely one of the favourites for me, but they're not my favourite. The Roosters haven't gone too long without a premiership, and I'm telling you, there are more desperate teams to win the competition. Number 3, we have the Melbourne Storm. This is a difficult one for me because I actually want to put them lower. I do think they actually could finish around the 6th spot, but I'm going to put them in 3rd because every time someone like myself or anyone says they're going to miss the top 4, they always make the top 4. They're a fantastic team with Pappenhausen, with Harry Grant, Brandon Smith. You know, they've got Jerome Hughes, they've got Munster. This team was just absolutely chock-a-block through their forwards and their backline and even their damn well bench. Do I think they'll win? No, I don't think they'll go back-to-back, but I do think that they're going to be very consistent this year to the point where they will make a top 4 team, just like usual, and there's no surprises here, really. Number 2, and we do have the South Sydney Rabbitohs. They're going to be just a little bit short. Now, look, the Rabbitohs are a very fast-paced team. They're a very attacking-based team. Defense is a little bit of a worry, but I know they can pile drive you with points. I know they can put more points on you than you can score against them. You can score, but they're going to score damn well too, and they're going to score more. However, there will be a game or 2 or 3 where they're not going to score as many points as they want, and the other team will score more against them. I know that may sound basic, but because this team is relying so heavily on their attack, they need to perform attacking-wise every game to win. 1 or 2 games, like I said, they probably won't, and the team will outscore them like a Panthers or a Storm or a Roosters. I think their spine's very good. Reynolds, Walker, Latrell Mitchell, Damien Cook, Wowee, and that's why they're 2nd place for me. But they get a little bit nipped out just on that 1st spot. Number 1, we're here. You guys know it already because obviously I haven't said them yet. The Penrith Panthers. Now I think these guys are getting really disrespected, to be completely honest with you. They just made the grand final despite the fact no one even believed them really to make the 8 last year, or just thereabouts make the 8. I had them for 9th, I believe, last year, and they made the grand final, won 17 games in a row, have one of the best young up-and-coming teams in the competition. Although people are going to know, teams are going to know that these guys are here now, it's not going to be a surprise. Nathan Cleary is fantastic. Abisai Coruscant is fantastic. Jerome Lua is fantastic. Dylan Edwards can do his job. He's fine. He'll get the job done, and this team is just absolutely unreal. Viliami Kikau, Stephen Crichton, Brighton like this team just has everyone. They have everyone, and they're young. So it's great to say that this team's going to be found out and they're not going to be as good as last year, but I don't think they've proven anything else-wise to show that they're not going to be as good as last year. Yes, they lost the grand final. Yes, they got pumped in the grand final, but did they really? Because they came back in the end and did have a chance to win it, but obviously didn't. I think this team, considering how they went last year, is actually relatively underrated, considering that a lot of people actually aren't tipping them in the top 4. So I'm going to back them in. I'm going to back them in to actually avoid 2nd year syndrome, and I really like the Panthers this year. I think they can attack, I think they can defend, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Pennies go in 2021. Anyway guys, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you have enjoyed. Please hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. Let me know your predictions in the comments section below. I'm looking forward to seeing them. Obviously guys, vlogs are back this year. I'm going to the Titans Warriors game on Saturday, and also the Sharks Dragons game on Sunday. Next week we've got like 4 games we're going to be going to. So if you're not subscribed yet guys, we absolutely smash out content on here. So go down there, hit that subscribe button, hit the little ding-a-ling-a-ling notification bell. Hope you have enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.